I signed up for the course because I just had a feeling like I am doing a lot of Western stuff, therapy. I'm a very a much I won't say intellectual, but a thinking person. I'm a thinking person who likes to think things through, and there's limitations to that. And I just felt a need to like get to ans something that felt mine, something that was really rooted in um my history, my experience. And so I just there was a calling, like something that kept nagging me. It was like, this is good. Like meditation is good, therapy is good, all of these things are good. But I guess I was seeking
Mm,
connection with um ancestral practices, something to like really ground me into my history.
mhm.
Mhm. And I
Do
trust
you,
I signed up for it.
oh, do you feel like you already have a connection with your ancestors?
No, my family's very not like they're not storytellers.
Mm,
So even like the generation behind my grandparents is fuzzy.
yeah,
Like traditions and things just weren't passed down in that way. So
right.
mm-mm.
Okay. Well, what I could say is that I've been studying with Christina since I think about 2018, starting with her energy body mastery, energy body clearing courses that like completely changed my life. And one of these days I'm gonna get around to teaching them again because I did the teacher training. And then I joined the cycle transformation. And I was actually really hesitant to do any of the ancestor healing work because, as a white person doing racial justice work, I was very skeptical of all of my European ancestors. I was like, I don't really know if I want anything to do with any of my ancestors. Um, and I had a moment, I think, doing some clearing work where I just had done like a big clearing and really shifted something inside of me. And I just had this moment of feeling like the ancestors were all around me and like came down and like laid their hands on me and just told me they had my back in a moment in time where I felt like no one had my back.
Mhm.
And it just broke me in like the most heart opening, connecting way, in a way I felt so alone and so isolated. And all of a sudden just felt this incredible presence of like, no, there's people who really have my back here. In a really just like true love, unconditional love for my best and highest good and the best and highest good of all of humanity. Right. And so this part where it really feels like anyone who has spiritual leanings and openness and innate gift, whatever you might want to call it, can has just been told us the ancestors have just been screaming at all of us for, I don't know how long, but at least the last decade or so, like humanity's on the verge. Y'all gotta get your shit together. Excuse me.
Yeah.
And there's a way that the healed ancestors really, in my experience, and I'll say this very lightly, in my experience, I'm not going to speak for other people, and I tread on this tenderly as a white person, right? And in my experience of connecting with the ancestors really claim us as humanity. Like they claim the descendants as their descendants. And yes, we have our specific lines, and the ancestors who are healed and well are working for the benefit of all of the descendants and like for our common collective good and evolution as humanity. And so a lot of the gifts and blessings I've been able to tap into aren't just from the people that I could name in my family lines. Those ones are a little bit more complicated relationships a lot of the time, but are people from like pre-colonial times, right? If we go back before colonization, we got, even if I tell people, even if your ancestors are all problematic for the last 20 generations, you got 200 generations of ancestors before that. If you got one whole line of family that's all problematic and abusive and whatever, that's only one line out of, again, if you keep going back 2000, right? And so there's so much that we have to pull on and claim that if we're not doing it from the ghosts of colonization, from the ghosts who are driving exploitation, from the ghosts of abuse and toxic extraction and manipulation and coercion, because there's a lot of ghosty energy out there too from all of these systems, right? But if we're really tapping into the healed ancestors who are here for the best and highest good of humanity and our shared survival in right relationship with all life on earth, there's just an incredible amount of energy and support and gifts and blessings available there to like fuel us and guide us in our work towards justice and healing for all of our descendants. Um, so it's not a linear way to describe anything, but it's a very circular path of my engagement with this work. And so this basic class that Christina offers is really just like a starter kit for people who don't have any practices because we didn't inherit anything. Because you know, sometimes she talks about being people of the broken path. And like there are people who have intact traditions, but many of us do not in the current day. And so if we need a starting place that isn't stealing someone else's traditions that we don't have a connection to, that are also not attuned to our time and context and needs, then we have to start somewhere. And so she really offers this just again, starter pack for anyone who wants to connect with their ancestral lines. And then you can weave in your own practices and traditions in whatever way works for you. But it's just a place to start, to have a process to get you started and building up that connection so you can receive that
Mhm.
influence. It's like you know, maybe you talk it to the ancestors and it's like the tin cans on the string, like in the old movies, you know? Or is it a telephone line? Or do you got fiber optics now? It's like, are you upgrading your ability to connect and hear that communication and have it come through clearly? We can all, I think, receive intuition and receive those things, but the more that we can establish processes, protocols, procedures, the more we can kind of upgrade those energetic connections so that it can come through more clearly and we can receive it more easily, right? And so it's one of the things I really appreciate about Christina and the things she offers is just her ability to break down metaphysical mechanics. Kind of like you're talking about your grandpa being the engineer, right? She could just like, she just has a way to like understand and break down metaphysical mechanics that are really work for my mind, at least in this modern context, and have just proven to be incredibly impactful for me over the years. So the basic course is helping us connect with emissaries of each of our lines to kind of open our connection with each of our lines on our maternal grandparents, basically our maternal, or not maternal, our grandparents' lines. So maternal, grandmother, grandfather, paternal, grandmother, grandfather. So each of those four lines to have an emissary. That doesn't mean it's our grandparents if they've already passed. It could be someone way back up again. It could be 50 generations back. It could be farther. But someone from one of those lines who can step forward, who's already healed and kind of be the emissary to help us begin to work with that line. And so I think I haven't honestly looked through all the course content in a while, but I believe most of this course is just about setting up an ancestor altar, opening up that connection with the emissaries, and beginning a daily practice. And I'll put an asterisk next to daily practice. It might be a weekly practice. Maybe get to it once a week. I think it's real important to not be perfectionistic to the point where we talk ourselves out of doing things at all because we can't do it perfectly. Do what we can do. You know, if you can make it happen every day, maybe do. Maybe you do the full practice once a week and you do like the 30-second version every other day. Hey, ancestors, good morning. All right, good night. You know, keep it moving. What I have found is that the ancestors tend to be incredibly gracious and they're not really on our time. Like, oh yeah, I'm still, you know, when you get there, like, okay, yeah, we're still here waiting for you. Oh, you took your time with that, didn't you? You know, but no, they're not in my experience, not like some of the real life ancestors we may know who had many, many criticisms and opinions, and were always angry and upset and told us what we weren't doing right. My experience with the healed ancestors is that when you ask them what they want from you, they're like, "I'm just here to support you." Right? If you ask a ghost what they want from you, then they got lots of things that they will start telling you that you need to do, or you want that they want you to do, because they're trying to resolve their unfinished business through you. And that's where we end up with ancestral patterns that get passed down over the generations of substance abuse and physical abuse and all the things that we have in our families, mental health issues, all things that kind of get passed down or they skip a generation. We can see these things, even if we can't quite pinpoint why does this keep happening in my line? And it oftentimes is because there's a pattern that got started with one unresolved ancestor, and then that pattern just keeps replicating down the line for many, many generations. And so this how basic course is really just about opening up that relationship and establishing your foundation for working with the ancestors. And then there's healing the ancestral lines 2 and 3. There's 2 additional courses that start to work on transforming those persistent patterns in our own lines. And then using our, once you get to the 3rd level, transforming those persistent patterns in the culture. So doing some really interesting work around what are the ancestral patterns that are kind of woven into white supremacist colonizer culture, and how do we start unraveling ourselves from that so that we can unravel them from the culture, and not with any excuse me, not with any expectation we're going to solve white supremacy capitalism with some ancestral healing, but and there's clearly no human logical solution to any of these problems, right? So we might as well call in all of the skills and resources we can, get the ancestors to back us up, work on every front, work on the spiritual front, work on the ancestral patterns, work on the political organizing, working on all the fronts, because it feels like that's been a place where a lot of our DEI work kind of petered out, is it just didn't feel like it had enough soul, or it wasn't fueled enough by spirit and things that really matter to us in the world. So I don't know. That's why I'm out here talking about all this woo stuff that I used to be incredibly embarrassed to talk about in the past.
Well, I'm glad you're
That's
talking.
not professional.
I'm
What
glad
are
you're
people gonna think of me? I'm going inside where there's light.
um one of the things that I really like about what you're saying is the connection piece, like feeling
Mm.
like you're not alone, especially when, we're of the day and age of loneliness epidemics and folks, loneliness isn't about being um surrounded by like a bunch of people. Like you can still be lonely
Hmm.
surrounded by a bunch of people, that there's something that has your back. I think that piece is really great. And I experienced a little bit of that when you all should also take the shadow class if you can, when you were helping us integrate our shadows and our allies. And we did the dancing and we called forth our ancestors. That was the first time I felt them.
Mm. You felt them in the room with you.
I felt them, and that experience is is like an imprint. Like there isn't a time where I feel I might be alone, but I'm always aware because I
Mm.
felt them that I am not alone, and there are a bunch of them.
Yes.
I have a bunch of them. As I
Is
live
there any? Sorry,
as
go ahead.
as I live alone in Portland, I know I am not alone,
Yes.
and I am loved. And people want to see me do well for various reasons. So I just want to thank you for that opportunity, because that was the first and only time where I felt that connection, and I felt them, and I could hear their words of encouragement in their own way.
Mm.
It was a very powerful experience for me.
Oh, thank you for sharing that. Um, yeah, because how many times do we really feel like that? Like feel like there's people who really want me to do well. And just hearing you say those words and think about how many times are we around people who we feel like want us to fail, or we're around people who are just waiting for us to fail, or expecting us to fail, or
Hey,
hyper criticizing what we're doing wrong. And there's
getting their foot out.
like,
So you do fall and fail.
right? Like, not everyone, but it's like actually that is a somewhat rare feeling to feel like there's people who just unconditionally want to see me do well.
Mhm.
Yeah, that is similar to how I've experienced the ancestors a lot of times too. Um, Yeah, thank you for sharing that, and thank you for being here. And
I'm super
yes,
excited to go on
excited
this.
to do this.
I've never not followed you through a journey that hasn't been rewarding. So that's why she's like, you should take this class. I'd be like, okay, I sign up for the class, and this life-changing thing happens. Um, and I'm really excited to work with you, learn from you. Let's do it. So I hope other people will join us. It is the time of connection. It is the time of us to really, I mean, talk about the woo-woo stuff. Everything is interconnected. And if we can do that on in all levels or planes or existences of our lives, I just feel like we'll all be better off, you know?
Right.
Um, yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you. And thank you for always bringing that spark because you always know how to make things happen. I always love having you in the room and working with you for that reason.
Thanks, Reese.
Maybe in case people are watching this video, I'll just give them a quick rundown. So, what we're doing is we're working through the Last Mass Center self-paced Healing the Ancestral Lines course. So, you do have to sign up for the course on the Last Mass Center webpage. There is a 50% registration discount in Strategy and Solidarity. Just look at the post and you'll see that discount there so you can get that half off because they're trying to support us. We're trying to do community. They're supporting us, we're supporting them, and trying to build whatever kind of networks we can, and not in a like one person has the one right way, but how can we all like uplift each other and build towards that future that we all believe in, even if we have different ways and different lanes of doing it. And then we're just going to meet here weekly to talk through each of the modules. And if you got here 2 weeks after we started, it's fine, still come. If you're watching this 3 weeks after we started, it's fine, still come. It's kind of like drop in, get it where you fit it. It doesn't have to be linear. It don't have to be perfect. Just come when you feel called, and we'll be excited to have you here. All right. Well, thank you, Jamila.
Thank you, Teresa.
I'll see you next week.
Will do.